Hi, I'm Quinn, and my project is about auto glitch art. So first of all, what is glitch art? It's also known as data moshing, and it is intentionally creating errors and glitches and artifacts in images and videos for artistic effect. So how does it work? Normally, the original way it was done is by manipulating compression algorithms in video by changing the way that the frames are stored. So normally how compression algorithms work on a very basic level is they only store the full frame on every so many frames. Usually when a large amount of the frame is changing, they will store the whole frame, and that's called an iframe. And the frames in between this, when only small parts of the frame are changing, they can be compressed, and these are called p-frames. And then most of the frame can be just taken from the previous iframe, and just the small parts can be stored. And so if you remove the iframes, the video, when it's being decoded, doesn't exactly know how to be decoded properly, and this creates kind of a smearing, blurry effect. And it looks interesting, and people wanted to exploit that for artistic effect, so they intentionally removed these iframes and created a new art form. Instead of manipulating the compression algorithm like this, my program specifically inserts errors and glitchy kind of effects into the video using code to intentionally replicate the kind of things you would see in this kind of artifacted video. And it automatically applies these errors in a random way. It's very customizable, so you're able to select the effects you want, the frequency at which you want them to be applied, and the minimum and maximum length you want them to be applied for. Now I'll go through each of the effects the program is capable of. The first one I just called moshing. I don't know exactly if it has a name, but it's closest to what the compression manipulation looks like. It's kind of the smearing effect that I'm sure people know if they have seen it before. The way I mimic this is by only changing the pixels in a frame if they are changing enough, or if they're changing past a certain threshold. So I'm measuring a pixel's the change in color, and if the total change in color is high enough, it changes the pixel. Otherwise, it keeps on the first frame from when the effect starts. Then, if the entire frame changes enough, then it fully changes the frame. This kind of mimics how the iframe and p-frame works, and so it makes it sort of look the same as the original data moshing effect it's trying to mimic. Next up is what I call the smearing effect. It uses the alpha channel and takes a small number of pixels from the previous frame and overlays them onto the current frame. This creates kind of a pixelated digital blur across the image, which could be the result of a poor compression or a poorly rendered video. Next is the color filter effect, which is basically what it sounds like. It changes the color values over the entire frame, and it can be linked to any one of 4 functions, each of which is independently selectable. Then there's the frame differencing effect, which subtracts the previous frame from the current frame. This is an effect that's actually used in motion detection. It's similar to what we saw used in the SIFT algorithm, the difference of Gaussian pyramid. Then there's what I call the frame subtraction effect, which is a very interesting one. It's subtracting the current frame from the previous frame, so it's essentially the inverse of what we just saw in the differencing effect. It creates a very strange, very kind of interesting color effect. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go through every effect in detail, but most of them are pretty self-explanatory. And we have our very basic interface here. We have our video path input. Every effect can be turned on and off. We have the chance, which means the effect will occur on average 1 time in this many frames. The minimum length in frames the effect will occur for, and the maximum length in frames the effect will occur for. And some other effects have more specific settings as well. There's a randomize button if you want to try random effects. And once you're happy with your parameters, you can start rendering the video. And I think the results can be pretty cool.